Okay, we need to talk about something extremely important, because it's not just the entire fitness industry that has ruined this idea, but just about all of social media, all of entrepreneurship. Everything has absolutely ruined the concept of this one super important thing that is literally killing you guys, that you guys are literally still doing today, that I was still doing every single day, that was killing me and making it literally impossible to grow in the gym, impossible to continue to make any progress, whether that's with social media, whether that's with a car project, whether that's with a relationship, literally anything. This one thing was wiping any possibility of making any progress anywhere away. And that one thing is your sleep. You guys, this idea has been construed online that, it doesn't matter how you feel, fuck your sleep. All you need to do is just stay up all night and get shit done. And, if you only slept 2 hours last night, you still need to go to the gym, get your workout in, because that's what guys do that are hard. And that is the most stupid bullshit in the world. And this was a motto that I live by, truly, extremely live by that motto for so many years. And it made it physically impossible to grow in the gym. It made it impossible to grow my social medias. It made it impossible to get back to get past any insecurities, to actually get confidence, to actually be able to talk to people. Because I would spend so much time trying to do some project or work on some social media thing or train in the gym or stay up super late to meal prep, because sleep was not my number one priority. And if you're sleeping, sleep's for the weak. You guys hear that all the time. And that is just so stupid, because if you are not sleeping, you are not recovering. But not only is your body, not only your muscles not recovering when you're not sleeping, your brain is not recovering when you are sleeping. You see, we all have something called a nervous system, okay? And your nervous system doesn't just control your nerves, like that feeling when you hit your funny bone and your whole arm goes numb and stuff like that. Yes, that is your nervous system, but your nervous system is also in your brain. It's in literally everywhere. So you have your nerves that run in your muscles and that allow you to, move your hands and allow you to feel things, but you also have your CNS, or your central nervous system, and that's what controls the drive you have, how you feel, whether you're extremely tired or not. And the central nervous system is like this huge umbrella for a whole bunch of different functions in your body. And when you sleep at night, that central nervous system goes into a recovery mode and it actually starts to repair itself. But when you don't sleep enough, that central nervous system, it might have some, it might have some flexibility. It might have some resilience. Say you don't sleep well one night. Say you don't sleep well the next night. You might not feel absolutely terrible. But if you continue to get awful sleep, then that nervous system is going to get dragged down more and more and more. And it's going to cause so many different problems that you do not even realize. Okay, let's start with the first one. The fact that your testosterone is the biggest thing that controls how much testosterone you produce is how much sleep you are getting. A bad night's of rest is literally going to nuke your testosterone. But yet, so many guys will stay up super late just to go to the gym and work out, and then say, "Oh, sleep's not important. I can sleep. I can do 2 hours of sleep. I can do 4 hours of sleep every night. I'll be fine. I can do 6 hours of sleep every night. I'll be fine." And there are certain small cases where, yes, I do agree that you do just need to get things done, and you might have to sacrifice a night of sleep. But you cannot continuously do that over and over and over again, because over time it is going to destroy you. And it's not just like, we're doing this for 1 week or something like that, or 1 month. People are doing this for their entire lifetime. They are literally their entire life. They are just saying, "Oh, fuck sleep, it's not important." They're throwing all their sleep out the window. And if one night can have a huge change on how much testosterone you are making, imagine how much a lifetime is going to have on how much testosterone you're making. And it's not just your testosterone that you have to worry about, because, you know, as important testosterone is, that determines how much body fat you burn, that determines how much muscle mass you build, that determines how much drive you have, that determines whether or not your dick works, that determines whether or not you have brain fog. There are so many different things that it determines, but your sleep is also responsible for your blood pressure, your heart health. It's responsible for literally your vision, your appetite, everything. And this stuff all plays in. So you get bad sleep one night, you start having testosterone problems, or other hormonal problems, which then leads to another issue, which then circles back around to causing more hormonal issues. And it's just this back and forth thing. It's this never-ending snowball that's rolling down this hill, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You guys need to sleep. And you need to be getting your 8 hours of sleep. Because when you are sleeping, 8 hours isn't just some number that people believe that 8 hours of sleep is just some number that was made from a study that, like, where they just took a bunch of people, gathered them all up, and then said, oh, how often do you sleep? And they made 8 hours the average. Because that's what a lot of people think that the 8 hours sleep number truly came from. You need 8 hours of sleep because that's how much time it takes for you to go through all your sleep cycles. Now, if you continue sleeping, you're going to go through more sleep cycles, but 8 hours is the general amount of time that it takes for you to go through all your sleep cycles, for you to go through your light sleep, your deep sleep, and your REM sleep. And each of those serve their own purposes. When you're going through your deep sleep, that's when most of your muscle recovery is happening. When you're going through REM sleep, there is other recovery happening in your brain. But if you are not getting these different sleep cycles and you're only going through light sleep because you're not sleeping enough, then there is a huge problem. And if you're wondering why you're tired all the time, yes, it is probably because you do have low testosterone. Yes, it is probably because you do have a terrible diet. Yes, it is probably because you're not training enough and not doing enough cardio. But you need to be sleeping. Sleep is the most important thing. Okay, and if sleep is the most important thing, that means that we need to revolve our day around making sure that we can get a good night's rest. And now that might seem very counterintuitive. It's like, why would I spend my whole day trying to make sure that I'm sleeping good at night? Because when I'm sleeping, I'm not doing anything, I'm just sleeping. Yes, but there are things that you do during the day to ensure that you have a good night's rest. Because how well you slept one night is going to determine the things that you can accomplish the next day. Now, just because you had a bad night's rest does not mean that you should now be giving yourself excuses to go and do whatever bullshit and go and waste your life away and go do a bunch of bad habits just because, oh, I didn't sleep last night, so therefore, you know, I'm not as mentally resilient, I'm not going to be as disciplined. Like, no, the discipline still needs to be there. And this is where it gets so people get so confused on social media, because it's like they'll tell you just need to have discipline, you need to do the shit no matter what, and you just need to grind and do whatever it takes to win. But you also need to be sleeping, because if you are not sleeping, factually, you are not going to be as mentally resilient the next day if you did not sleep properly. And now if you have really good discipline that you have built up, then you're going to be able to be more mentally resilient even if you didn't sleep as well. But if that bad sleep compounds, it's going to reach a time where you hit a breaking point, and all these good habits that you have built up are going to slowly start to wither away because you're not sleeping enough in order to keep them there, in order to recover every day. You're going to be training so much in the gym and you're not even going to be growing. You're just wasting your time because you're not sleeping enough. So if you can just get off your phone, stop scrolling so much, stop watching so many YouTube videos that you don't need to be watching, stop beating your meat before you go to bed, you're going to get so much more sleep. And you need to schedule a time where you can consistently say, this is my bedtime. So many people don't want to have a bedtime because it makes them feel like they're a kid again. But dude, that doesn't matter. You need to find a time where you're like, okay, this is the time I go to bed. And if something comes up and there's something I really do need to take care of, I guess I will take care of it. But sleep is still a huge priority. And back to what I was just saying before, how we need to schedule our day so that we're planning to have a good night's rest. There are things that you can do so that you can optimize your sleep, okay? Starting off, you need to stop eating at least 2 to 4 hours before you go to bed. If you eat before you go to bed, now you are digesting in your sleep. If you are digesting, you are not properly sleeping. If you're waking up in the morning and you feel groggy and you cannot get out of bed and you just feel like shit all the time, it's probably because you're eating really late before you go to bed. And if you want to watch a YouTube video and have your dinner and then go to sleep because you can't sleep if you're hungry, I don't care. That doesn't matter. You need to learn to sleep when you are hungry, because when you are digesting, you are not recovering. It's just like when you go to the gym. You don't eat a huge meal before you go train, because when you're lifting, you're not digesting. You eat a big meal a couple hours before, and then you might have a small meal or some sort of liquid shake before you go train. That way that processes quickly, and then now you can go train and you have good energy for the gym. But you don't go and eat a huge meal and go work out right away. Same thing. You don't go and eat a huge meal and then go straight to bed. Even though people are like, oh, well, if I eat a big meal, then I fall asleep faster. Dude, go take a small dose of melatonin. Stop having so much caffeine before you go to bed. That's the second thing that we need to talk about. You need to cut off your energy drinks about 4 to 5 hours before you go to bed. You don't need to be having a bunch of caffeine right before you go to bed, because caffeine has every single drug has what's called the half-life, okay? A half-life is the amount of time it takes for whatever milligrams or grams of that compound that you took to reach the 50% mark in your body. So if you drank an energy drink with 200 milligrams of caffeine, since caffeine has a 6-hour half-life, in 6 hours, you're gonna have 100 milligrams left of caffeine in your system. And then in another 6 hours, you're going to have 50. And then in another 6 hours, you're going to have 25. So if you were having a huge energy drink right before you go to bed, even if you say caffeine doesn't affect me because maybe you're a fast metabolizer of caffeine, it is still going to be in your system, and you're still not going to get in as deep of a sleep. But even if you absolutely have to have caffeine within a close time period to before you go to bed, because say you work far away and you have to have an energy drink so that you don't fall asleep driving, and then as soon as you get home you have to go straight to bed, I would much rather you do that than be eating before you go to bed and training before you go to bed. And that leads into the next thing that is extremely important to sleep, is what time are you training? You guys need to be training in the morning. Now, if it's train or not train, I would still rather you be able to actually go to the gym, so train after work. But I don't believe that there's a single one of you that can't figure out a way to go to the gym in the morning. And if you're saying, oh, my gym isn't open early enough for me to go in the morning, Anytime Fitness is a 24-hour gym. And if you don't have an Anytime Fitness around you, even though they're the largest gym franchise in the world, there's probably another gym near you that is open 24 hours of the day. So you need to be going to the gym in the morning, because when you go to the gym in the morning, not only is that going to get the gym out of the way so that you're not hyper focusing on, am I going to be able to go to the gym or not, but that's also just going to make you have a much better day throughout your entire day. You're going to be more energized. Now, right after you work out, you're going to have a dip in energy, and then that energy is going to go up, and you're going to have a huge stress reduction, a huge anxiety reduction. You're going to feel so much better the rest of the day. But if you're training right before you go to bed, then you're raising your heart rate. And before you go to sleep, you want your heart rate to be as low as possible, because that's going to put you in a deeper sleep. Same thing with the temperature in the room. You want the temperature in the room to be ideally between 60 and 65 degrees. You want it to be colder so that you can get into a deeper sleep. But if your heart rate is all high, if your body is all hot, you're not going to be sleeping properly. So you guys need to get your heart rate down. figure out a way. Don't go on a huge run right before you go to bed. Now, yes, you could do some light cardio. It's not going to get your heart rate elevated super high, because if you do light cardio before, like, let's say 2 hours before you go to sleep, your heart rate is going to slowly start to drop, and then it's going to drop lower than it was before you did the cardio eventually, and maybe that is by the time you go to rest. So that could be a very good reason why you would train within a close period of time before going to sleep. But if you're doing something extremely strenuous that is really going to get that heart rate up, do that exercise in the morning. I would rather you guys train for 30 minutes only in the morning than 45 minutes after work. Or I would rather you train for 45 minutes in the morning than an hour and 25 minutes after work. Like, literally, it is better to train less and train in the morning than it is to train more and train before bed. That is how big of a difference it makes on your quality of sleep. Because as soon as you get that quality of sleep down, your mind is going to have so much more resilience. You're going to have so much more discipline that you're going to build up. You're going to build up so much more time for new good habits that you're going to find out a way and figure out how to get to the gym earlier in the morning so you can train longer. But if you're going right before you go to bed constantly, it's just this negative downward spiral, and you're probably going to burn yourself out. So you guys, you need to be sleeping. It is like the most important thing. I don't know where this bullshit came from, oh yeah, I sleep 2-4 hours a night and I just grind it out and I just have a bunch of caffeine all the time. It's like, dude, I used to be that same way and I destroyed myself doing it. Don't do that. It's not that hard. Get some good sleep tonight, train in the morning, eat healthy, and you will be able to accomplish anything that you put your mind to. Let's win.